there, and welcome to the inside of Redfoo's E-Star. So I'm standing on about 200 kilowatt hours of Panasonic 2170 lithium battery cells. We've got a UQM motor in the back with a Scott drive controller. In the very back are our chargers and our DC-DC converters. Our BMSs are getting hidden there. Underneath you can see the liquid cooling lines. I just got that done. Just got the radiator and blower fan for the battery cooler. You can see my handy roll of toilet paper there, ready and waiting in case I had a coolant leak. Fortunately, I didn't have any leaks. We didn't clean up in here because I kind of really just wanted to give you a look, everybody a look at really what the job site really ends up looking like. There's soldering, there's torches, there's drivers, there's meters, there's batteries, there's toilet paper, there's just so many things get piled up. I'm just about ready to clean it out and start all over. I got myself some silicone jacketed high stranded wire. We start in the back with our EVCC from Thunderstruck, and that basically controls charging, so it has a little proximity and a pilot signal going to it, and then it goes to the 3 Thunderstruck chargers, comes forward and connects with the Scott drive motor controller. Then it continues forward and connects with 4 different BMS controllers because there's 4 battery packs here in parallel, so each one has its own controller, runs its own relay, runs its own motor contactor up there to potentially take itself out of the mix if a cell should go high or low. Travels up to our Arduino up front, which will do a little bit of translation of some of the CAN signals, and then it will finish up at our AEM display, give us some motor parameters, give us some battery temperatures, battery voltages, and then some kind of more fun stuff too to put on the display and keep an eye on all things on the system. Hey there, so we were just on the road with the E-Star, but our controller seems to be shutting down as a result of what's called a driver latch error, which is the fact that the voltage across the collector emitter of the IGBT is high, signifying that there's an overload in amperage. However, if you look at the scope when I'm driving, I'm pulling maybe 100 amps, so not pulling hardly any power, and yet it's shutting down as if it's overloading, which means that the driver board that measures that parameter is likely out of whack for some reason. Scott Osborne of Scott Drive is going to send me a new board, but I just can't wait. We got to get this thing rolling. I so happen to have another controller that's ready and waiting for our next E-Star. I'm just going to swap out the controller, and then when Scott sends me the board, I'll put it in the previous controller and get that one up and running again. So here we go. All right, here we are, first ride in Redfoo's E-Star. Pretty exciting, well over a year of work. Incredibly huge battery pack, big motor, big controller, so many details, such a big vehicle. Everything needs a cooling system, everything needs a fan, but here we are. Finally, we're getting to the point where there's the payoff. The payoff is being able to start driving, in my opinion, the coolest vehicle on this planet. It'll have the ability to pull 100 miles of range off the sun, the ability to do 200 miles as a result of this big battery pack, which is 3 Tesla Model 3 battery packs in here. It's all wide open right now. Take a look. This is all going to get covered up real quick. Everything will be boxed in. A 280-pound steel plate goes over the top of the battery box, and then Kira will come through and get some nice seats in there and a side door, and all of the displays and everything will go in. And then we will be starting our journey. We're going to deliver it to Redfoo. I'm going to drive it there, make sure everything works by testing it out 2,000 miles. Pretty excited for that. Chance for me to enjoy the vehicle before I hand them off and make sure everything's working perfectly. So here we are. Probably the most important part of the build, our first cruise. Come along. We're gonna get up here and hit the pavement. So this is going to hinge. So this is going to be the hood, right? So you tip this up and look under the hood and see the 200 kilowatt battery pack. I wanted to put a big plate over the top. So we painstakingly mount these batteries in super safe positions. We monitor them very closely, but we also put a 280 pound plate of steel on top of them. Welcome to the Solarrolla shop, where we're working with the light leaf solar panels. Pretty excited about these panels. As you can see, they have a nice curve to them. They fit right on top of the E-Star. They were custom made for the E-Star. And we have about, what do we have? 6, 12, 18 panels, 18 90 watt panels here. So we're right around 1600 watts. So each one being about 540, the 90 times 6. And they will always be spilling that power into Redfoo's Tesla modules. So continuously, when he's driving down the road, when he's stopped, as long as there's sun on them, and even when there's not, there'll be a little bit of power coming in. So pretty excited to get them up there. We have to build the aluminum frame now that holds these together, holds them down, and then the whole thing will go up on top of the E-Star. We are going to cantilever about 16 inches off the back, and that's going to provide us a place to hang the satellite panels. So over here we have the satellite panels. These are straight panels. So they're 140 watt panels. There's 3 of them for 420 for each 3 by 8 panel. So those will hang on the back, and then those will be distributed in the wing form, and basically in whatever form you want to maximize your solar input for the day. So we're always reaching for that 100 mile per day from our vehicles.
Brett's been working on making these brackets that the front cowl will attach to, going along with the curve of the light leaf solar panel coming up from the cab to help with any wind resistance and make sure those panels are solidly attached. What are you doing?
I'm rounding off some of the column. All right, so we've removed most of the E-Star wiring. So in order to maintain a lot of the stock wiring, or STALK, as in these little stocks here, right? They're real small grounding, real tiny wire grounding switches, so not a lot of amperage, and not just something that's real easy to just replace. Paul DeZoo, a good friend of mine, a college buddy of mine, he built a board so that we could run about the same amount of power through those switches, so we don't jeopardize anything failing there. Other than that, everything else is real easy to handle. It was just that wiring, so that's pretty much the only wiring that we've maintained on this entire vehicle. Most of the wiring went through the smart junction box and was computer controlled and very problematic, so we just started off on our own and ran all of our own wires to our own components. Kira now is going to button all this up, which has been a long time coming. We got the AEM display that fit perfectly within the old E-Star display, so we can get all of this wired up, and then the idea is that it'll be great when it's just kind of more software oriented work and we can be cruising around and doing that. This is the parking actuator. So there's an electronic system that will put your vehicle in park. It requires a relatively sophisticated actuator because you have to really know where the position of that actuator is at all times. It has to be integrated with all of the software on the CAN network so that you don't accidentally put your park on when you're driving or anything like that. So this little actuator had a plastic end to it, and it seemed a little bit weak, and I just don't want any weakness in the system. So I made another end that Kira took a little shot of a minute ago. So now I'm just gonna drill through and for my pin that little stinker on, and we're good to go. We are in beautiful Bayfield, Wisconsin this morning. Got up to do one of our first range tests of the vehicle. So about 55 miles up, so 55 miles back, and then we'll do a few loops around. See if we can get up near 150, 200 miles. That's gonna be our first run. Pretty exciting. We're gonna be leaving here in a few days, so we gotta get back to the shop and get to work. Let's go. We haven't done video in a long time because we've basically been on our backs underneath this vehicle. We are doing all the sealing that we need to do that is necessary on these vehicles to keep especially the salt water out of them, conductive as it is. Forgive me if I look like a ragamuffin. I've been underneath this vehicle now in basically get her done exhaustion mode. Karen and I have been going from 7, 8 o'clock in the morning till midnight or 2 or so at night, just getting all the little details done. We're just getting our inverter finally hooked up now. Has a relatively complicated cooling system on it, but once we're done, it's gonna be pretty sweet. It's gonna run our AC up in our box up there. All of our outlets will be energized here in the near future, and got to get a little 12-volt powered out of the pump and the fan on the cooling system, so that cooling system is right below. 6 kilowatt inverter, beautiful, small package, liquid cooled, that's what makes it small. Level 2 charge and EV pretty much. Pretty nice, like I said, pretty compact, so excited to get that operating and all our outlets going and get on the road. It's the night before Christmas. We're leaving tomorrow and we're gonna be up late packing tonight. The panels will go on the rear and we're out of here. Pretty exciting, we're tired already. A long time in the making. We're excited, we're anxious, all of the above. Come with us and enjoy this trip.
Brett's dad passed away the night before we were planning to leave to drive Redfoo's E-Star from northern Wisconsin to California. Brett's love of cars was inspired by his dad. We had to postpone our trip by a couple weeks. Stay tuned as we will be sharing the journey with you. If you're new to our channel, check out our other solar electric build videos and adventures. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on all social media platforms, and join our Patreon community.